This discussion that Neil deGrasse and Ben Shapiro are having or had, I think it's too, I don't know, I'd say too early or for this, or it's almost meaningless because of what is actually practiced in society. Um, of course, people have the freedom to identify as what they want to. I mean, that goes without saying, that's given. Um, they can behave in the way that they choose to, which people do all throughout history, not just regarding this particular subject. I remember I was born in New York, and I remember being young, shopping with my mother in a woman's store. Okay, I was with my mother. I was young, maybe I don't know, maybe 5 or 7 years old, and with her. Then I remember seeing some men uh, that were shopping in the same store. They were dressed as women, in women's clothing, and they were shopping too. Now, why would I think they're men? Well, as a child, from what I was taught, what men are, these clearly look like men. Men are larger than women. Have deep voices. Very muscular, more muscular than men. I mean, than women. I mean, clearly to me, from my perspective as a child, these were men shopping with the women. And I just remember, how shocked I was, and how it looked. Let me see, how did it look to me? It was just very odd. It was the first time I ever saw that. Uh, so from a young age, you get to see things that may be odd to you, that don't fit into your normal world, or what you consider to be normal. But then you grow up and you understand, well, oh, okay, there are people that do that. There are men that dress up like women. Okay, they identify, or they enjoy dressing up like women. That's all I got from that. I didn't understand it, but I recognize that they have the freedom to do that. Okay, then that was years back. That's like over what, about 50 years ago. And now we come to today, where you still have the same thing, but the thing that has changed, that is changing in society today, is uh, I think the authorities are trying to promote that a person can identify as whatever they want, and then they shouldn't be offended or ostracized for that. Okay, but does that translate to them being treated according to what they identify as? And it doesn't. Okay, by the same authorities that are promoting this agenda, they discriminate against those who identify what they identify as. They don't treat them as they don't treat a person according to what they identify as. The authorities don't. So this is why I say this conversation is almost meaningless, because of what is actually practiced. But I notice what Neil deGrasse, he moves about very carefully in his wording, because of course he knows it's a very sensitive subject, and if you say the wrong thing, of course you can be canceled. Your career could be in jeopardy. But notice what he says, and I think he speaks well. Yeah, I would say he speaks against his better, his better judgment. He's speaking against his knowledge, but he's skating very adroitly around, so as not to offend, to be very careful, because what he says doesn't line up with practicality. Let it play a little bit here.
Defects typically, or genetic defects.
I'm happy to opine on this.
Hold on, please.
this only matters because today we segregate nearly all sports by gender.
Okay, yeah, that's a fact. We segregate according to gender, but why do we do that? All right, let's let them go on.
Otherwise, why do we even give a shit? What?
Okay, but the reality is that we have gender in order to segregate sports according to. Okay, that's the reality. So we all are interested in it because of the reality that we're walking in. This is why it's important, because it's what we live every day. Is what we're judged by. It's not a fantasy, but it's like a fantasy is being promoted. It's like we are taught that it's acceptable to lie to ourselves, and others should accept the same thing. Just like Tia Mari is celebrating her divorce as being a successful marriage, or that she's divorced. She's celebrating. She's saying that she had a successful marriage. That's absolutely lying to yourself. We've come to a point where people are afraid to identify what a woman is. It's like if you're a human, you're an intelligent human, and you mean to tell me a person sitting in a position of judgment, considering to be on the Supreme Court, is unable to or unwilling to identify what a woman is? Does this also apply to the animal kingdom? Are you afraid to identify or distinguish a lion from a lioness?
What someone identifies with. We live in a free country, and with consenting adults and people free expression of who and what they are.
Man, on adult level, I agree with you. I think it does matter what you teach
That's
your
what I'm
children.
saying. And so there's the matrix of what you are biologically, how you express yourself, who you choose as a sexual partner. If we actually live in a free country, as we tell ourselves, people's freedom to behave in any of those ways should not concern you at all.
Or do you really mean that? And no, you don't mean that, because a person's behavior affects other people. And I'm not just talking about this, gender. Okay, if we live in a free country, notice what he's saying. Let me back it up a little bit.
Actually live in a free country and tell.
All right, a free country. So what does that mean? Are we free to do anything that we like? Are we free to behave in any way that we choose and identify as what we will identify as? Yes, but there are consequences. There are consequences that we have to deal with due to our behavior we choose to indulge in. There are consequences if we choose to identify as something that we are not, or as something that the general public perceive that we are not. For example, the authorities that are promoting this gender fluidity. All right, think about this. The same authorities who are promoting the freedom to identify as whatever you like, okay, which you can do, all right, but they are the same authorities which will convict you of perjury for identifying falsely on official questionnaires regarding your gender. And those authorities don't send you to prison based on what you identify as. They don't send you to prison based on what you identify as. They send you to prison based on how they identify you biologically. For example, if a man who just robbed a bank, okay, we're living in a free country, and you're able to, you identify as what you have the freedom to identify as what you will, and you have freedom to participate in whatever behavior that you're going to participate in. That you have that freedom, yes, but there are consequences. If a man who just robbed a bank goes into court and identifies as a non-bank robbing woman, won't the judge still sentence him as a bank robber and send him to a male prison and send him to a male prison? So are we confused about the freedom to identify as what we want, as if that is to be respected by the authorities and everyone? It's not what's practiced. Is that what those authorities are hearing? We can sit down and have these discussions, and try to skate around as not to offend anyone. But when you go to court, all this discussion and skating around what you want to identify as goes out the door. All right, if a man just robbed a bank, goes into court and identifies as a non-bank robbing woman, won't the judge still sentence him as a bank robber and send him to a male prison? We live in a free country. Yes, I do have a penis in my pants and $40,000 dollars worth of stolen cash in my bag, but I identify as a non-bank robbing woman. This is a free country. How dare you say that I am not what I identify as? All right, so to what extent can we identify as whatever we choose and society is obligated to take us seriously? Where are the lines? There are lines. We don't have freedom in the way that some are trying to make us believe that we have. We don't have that freedom to do those things. Or the better way to say it is, you have freedom to cross those lines, but there are consequences for crossing certain lines, which have been established, are established according to biology and just according to behavior. A person that steals your personal item. I mean, how do you determine whether someone stole your item? If when you look at them, if you own something and this person comes over and takes it, are you able to identify what that person did? Yes. There are lines. There are lines. But this society at the moment is trying to blur those lines. Lines that we all clearly can see. But they want to make you believe that no, they're not there. They're not there. You shouldn't be held accountable, or you won't be held accountable if you want to jump around as if there aren't any lines. However, the authorities don't treat you like that. They treat you and penalize you according to those lines that they have established and that remain.